Welcome back to the more phenomenal and multicolored comic vault. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And Eric and I today are going to review nearly everything Boom has put out so far for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and by everything, we don't mean we're going to actually mention every single issue, because we don't do that here, but we're going to, but we have read, we'll tell you what we've read. We've read all of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers up through the first episode of, or the first issue of Shattered Grid, which is where we are so far.
Which is 25,
at the time
so it's 26
of this
comics, isn't it?
recording. Because there's a zero issue. Yeah, I never understand zero issues. Well, we can talk about that. We have read all of Go-Go Power Rangers up to date, the first 8 issues. The last of which is a Shattered Grid prelude, only in that there are 2 pages at the end that have nothing to do with the rest of the comic that helps to set up Shattered Grid.
And might even be in a different time period.
Yeah, I don't know why that's... I mean, it's there because it says Shattered Grid, prelude on it, but it actually has nothing to do with the rest of the issue, as far as I can tell. It's fun, it's cool looking,
yeah,
but I don't know what it has to do with the rest of it. And it makes me think that Go-Go during Shattered Grid is just going to be an extension of the regular Power Rangers book. It is not going to have anything to do with what we've done in that book so far. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've read. So Power Rangers Pink is also a thing they did. That's a 6-issue miniseries that Eric has not read yet. I have.
And we didn't
like
do the
it
annuals.
Quite a bit, and we didn't do the annuals. You did read the Zed story I asked you to read. Mm-hmm. And did you notice it informs at least like what
yeah,
scene?
Yeah, it informs Goldar.
Goldar, yeah. So that's nice that's there. But really good sense of continuity between these books.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about the first 2 big arcs, and because that's where we're at right now, and we will weigh in a little bit on how Shattered Grid starts. I don't want to spend too much time on that, because when it's over, we'll go ahead and review it all together, of course. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the face of this looks like after that event, and how it is influenced by its sudden, massive popularity. I am hearing so many people talk about this, and I gotta say, maybe it's just the circles I run in. I'm hearing more people talk about this than I am anything in Big 2 right now. It just keeps coming up. Some of it is that teaser.
I mean, well, now that Metal's done, because Metal was the thing I was hearing about a bunch before that.
That's true. Sure.
But I'm hearing about this more than Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or Fresh Start.
And like you see more people who might not necessarily be Power Rangers fans that come out of the woodwork, with the job that you do. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so I've been reading this month to month, going all the way back to when it started. Eric had not touched it until now. Mm-hmm. So
that's not true. I read issue 0.
Oh, you did? Okay.
When it first dropped.
So Eric, so you at least had sort of a sense of the flavor of it, but you hadn't been following it. You didn't know what the pacing was like,
and what you told me.
And I had told you some stuff about it. Yeah. So main book. And just real brief thoughts, and then we'll talk about Go-Go a little bit, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty with both. We can talk about these together pretty easily, I think. But how do you feel about it, premise-wise, conceptually? Are you at a place where you're kind of okay with how we've sort of used the canon to start over, but it's not really a reinvention, or do you wish that we had just completely reinvented it in the first place?
Obviously, we should have reinvented it from the first place. Yeah. This should have been a reboot from the ground up.
I think so too. Yeah.
It also doesn't know whether it's a reboot or not, because it feels like it's a reboot, but Power Rangers Pink is the same continuity, which means everything has to happen exactly how it happened in the original series. And Shattered Grid is bringing in all these other shows, are also in the same continuity. It can't be a reboot like it feels like it is.
It can and it can't, right? Like, you can have one thing that is canon with the other thing, but not the reverse of that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, it cannot be actually canonical with the original series in that when you watch those shows, this stuff doesn't count, but that stuff can count when you read this. The question is, will that end up holding it back too much, and haven't we already contradicted enough stuff that gets weird? Mm-hmm. The issue is less what we read and more things so far, and more things like Pink and what could end up happening with Shattered Grid, where it's like, as long as they're sort of loose about what exactly went on in those shows, where you take those characters and the basics and things more or less happen the same, but you don't but you don't have it where you're stuck with that stuff if you actually want to go to it. Pink is weird because it's hip deep, clearly in the middle of second season.
Well, and also, from my understanding, like, it involves the other characters who left for the peace conference.
Yeah. So now that has to
We
happen.
wouldn't write that out. We wouldn't write those characters out that way, and we wouldn't write them out all at the same time.
Well, okay, so that's where it gets weird looking at what Higgins is doing versus Go-Go. Because I think they're almost two different mission statements, but they vary impressively, because I think Perot is, in his way, kind of a genius.
I agree.
If that's how his name is pronounced. I'm assuming it's like Ross Perot. That's how it's spelled. I think that's how Ross Perot spelled his name. Anyway, but I digress. So what? Let's see if I can explain this well. What Higgins does is he starts from a place in continuity and is allowed to kind of do whatever he wants to moving forward. So he says, up through Green with Evil happened about the way it happened. And then after that, we can change things and mess with things, and we're not going to just show you comic book, more sophisticated reimaginings of episodes like we kind of tried to do with the Abrams versus Star Trek comics when that monthly started. Right? We're not doing that. We're not going to episodes and just redoing them. There are elements from some things, but for the most part, that's not what we're doing. Go-Go goes all the way back to the beginning and says, more or less, everything, like, logic-wise and stuff is the way it is, but we're going to try to create, like, realistic reasons for why those things happen the way they do.
But we're also still not redoing episodes? Like, we've had no monsters from the show.
That's right. No, it's just... And it's just like the Green with Evil thing where it happens directly after the pilot, and the pilot is more or less the way it is. But I do think there's kind of a difference in the approaches. Don't you? Because what Perot is doing is much more trying to, like, explain why things that feel really illogical are happening and trying to create logical reasons for them. For example, he comes out and says there's a reason for why the Rangers are all teaching classes at the juice bar. He, like, comes up with a reason for that.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and it's kind of believable.
And all of his explanations, I think, are great.
He comes out and says, Rita keeps sending monsters she know will lose for a strategy. She's got reasons for that. And so... But weirdly, it feels less canonical with the show than the Higgins stuff does. I don't know how that is. But, like, it feels like... Maybe it's because it starts more at the beginning, but it feels like a reimagining to me in a way that Higgins doesn't as much.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, no, it feels more like a reboot, I guess.
But he's just trying to be
in those terms.
Really faithful.
Yeah.
To a lot of the stuff that was there. He's basically saying, I don't have to let any of this hold me back. I can come up with creative reasons why it's there.
Yeah. Which is really impressive.
He comes up with reasons that Rita would use idiot minions.
Yep.
And gives us their backstories and why they're there.
Yep.
And they're all close to compelling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive.
It's like 2-3 pages at the beginning of every issue, and they're all really good.
Now, you could... Because okay, so I'm going to say, backing up a little bit, that in comparing these books, which I really want to do because I think Go-Go is the book that I wish it had started with, but then I don't know that you get it without what Higgins does. So I mean, I feel like Perot is building a lot on what Higgins has already done, and like it's hard to say in hindsight, but like maybe you already had to have. I don't want to say a false start. I like Higgins' book, but I mean, like, I don't know that they would have thought to start there. You know, like that's what I wish they had done.
That's the natural place to start. It's very strange.
I don't know if it is as much.
Everything about Mighty Morphin,
though, because here's the thing: it's not like Ninja Turtles where you've already had a whole bunch of different continuities. We've only ever had one Power Rangers continuity and then an out of continuity movie.
2 out of continuity.
I feel like 2 out of continuity movies.
With the new one.
Well, with the new one, yeah, that's true. That's fair. But that hadn't come out yet when it started. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, but with Power Rangers, I can see the worry that if we reimagine it and don't try to keep it all together, we might lose Power Rangers fans, and there's so much of that continuity anyway. And might it be fun to try to make it match? Maybe those are all the thoughts they had, but you suggested something I hadn't thought of before the other day when we were talking about this, which was maybe some of it was they weren't allowed to do anything else because
the
of
movie was coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want you to do a more sophisticated reboot because we're doing that over here, so you can kind of start somewhere in the middle, kind of a thing, I guess. Maybe.
Sort of stay with the kiddie
This is all speculation. There's nothing indicating this.
But, like, I guess you can draw the characters a little bit more, but then it doesn't read like kiddie fare. Any of it.
No.
Like, despite reservations you might have with Higgins, like, it's not for an 8-year-old. It's for a teenager. It's for.
But I also think that an 8-year-old could read it. I mean, they'd be bored to tears, but they could read it.
Well, Jason loves it.
Month to month.
And you have to admit the art is spectacular much of the time.
It is until later.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about when we get to later stuff.
Well, and then it does, and we're jumping around a lot, and then it doesn't feel even as great as I thought it was once I get to Go-Go, because I'm spoiled with that.
Yeah, damn.
Because I'm such a big fan of Mora already because of Klaus.
Yep. No, Mora looks amazing. The character designs between Go-Go and Mighty Morphin are close. Mora's designs are better.
Yeah.
Billy looks like a 25-year-old man in Mighty Morphin. He looks like a nerdy kid in Go-Go.
There's places in Mighty Morphin where he looks like a nerdy kid, though. It just depends on who's drawing. The problem is we changed the artist too much.
The main artist for the first 16 issues or whatever, I think he draws him like I'm not saying like he doesn't look like Clark from Smallville, but like he looks significantly older. Mora's feels more like a kid, and I feel that's true for all of them. He has a better design on all of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair, sure.
Kimberly is very similar.
Well, it looks like what you would imagine a cartoon show for that to look like.
It's exactly what. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very spoiled with that art. And so what I was going to say in comparing the books is Higgins starts, I think, in kind of a weird place. It's counterintuitive to me, as you suggested. I agree with that. But with that idea, I think he does some pretty great things, and I think he does the best he can with it. It's stretched a little. It's long. That first arc is much longer than it needs to be. Although I didn't feel that way as much on a second reading it all together. You think it could be 6. I think it could be trimmed a little. I don't think it could be 6. But I do think that with Go-Go, that is the superior team.
Well, and I also think with Shattered Grid, it should have been 6. Not Shattered Grid, because wow, is everything deflated from everything when you spend 16 issues on Draken. And then you do another arc that's really cool and interesting, and then the big reveal is
it's Draken again.
The guy from 2 issues ago is there. And I'm like, wow, if this was the first 6 issues and this was the first time we were seeing him in 12, that would have been cool. It's not cool. It feels and then he says in the back of the book, he's like, what? I've been weaving threads leading to this. I'm like, kidding, it's all you've done. Your entire run has just been this. What do you mean weaving threads?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I think you're looking at it much more as I think you want solid like 6 or 8 issue arcs, and I think he thinks he's doing a Claremont-esque run.
Then he needs to have more happen in each issue.
Yeah.
If he's going to have a Claremont-esque run, each of these issues should be like 3 of these issues. Like, not enough happens. And Go-Go doesn't have that issue, and Go-Go is also doing that. Go-Go does not have, at least so far, 8 issues in, it doesn't have, like, arcs.
Ooh, I disagree with that. I think 8 has a very definitive, clear ending. And you said, when we talked about this the other day, because Eric and I have all the conversations we should have on camera before we get on camera, that you get to the end of this, and you can't imagine they suddenly jump into another time period like we thought they were going to. Because when they first
and then I read 8, and I was like, oh yes, I could see that.
No, it totally could do that.
Yeah, but remember, I'd only read 7 at that point.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, you hadn't found 8 yet.
Sorry about that.
No. At the end of 7, I was like, how can they? Wait, Shattered Grid is next. How can they possibly?
But you were still talking about it like Shattered Grid interrupts that or something. And
again, this is before I read.
No, just now though.
Oh.
When we were talking, when you were talking about Go-Go, you were making it sound like it's weird that then you get to Shattered Grid, but like
it's weird because I can't imagine 2 groups of Mighty Morphin distanced by about 3 months running around together.
That's why. But that's my point. Is that I like after that arc, that tells me, oh no, it is what they said it was going to be, and Shattered Grid will be the next time period they jump to, and then after that they'll go to something else.
But those last 2 pages,
no, that's weird. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, the biggest issue with all of the Power Rangers books, everything I've read, you know what my biggest issue is? No timestamps.
Yeah.
I never know when anything is happening.
Well, that's not fair for Go-Go. You at least know where it is in proximity to
itself.
The beginning of the show.
Yeah, but then I get to those last 2 pages, and I'm like,
it says arrival day, and then it tells you how many days after that.
It plays like this is happening. In issue 8, the last 2 pages feel like it's happening. If you didn't know Shattered Grid was coming, you would assume that's happening at the exact same time, like we're just cutting to villains.
Well,
I assume it's taking place in Mighty Morphin timeline.
Yeah, well, it must be.
But I don't know that.
Well, especially because the Lord they have to... So, at the end, we're all over the place right now. So, I want to make sure that we provide a little bit of context. So, as we said a minute ago, Go-Go is more of a prequel book that we feel like is where we should have started in the first place.
And it's the better book of the two. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's better written, it's better drawn.
It feels like
it's a Power Rangers we always wanted. It's the Mighty Morphin remake I've always wanted.
It is Buffy Power Rangers.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's legitimately great. Like, if they were going to look at the Boom comics for a show, you do not look at Mighty Morphin. You look at Go-Go
for tone and characterization. Absolutely. Yeah.
And for assuming an animated series will be a reboot, like that's the only thing.
And once again, I don't want to throw Higgins under the bus. I think because Perot is building. What I was trying to say earlier is Perot is building so much on characterizations that Higgins has already given us. Like, I don't know that his Billy is as interesting as developed without what Higgins did.
But with stuff he does with Rita and stuff, I imagine it would have been.
Yeah.
With how good the whole book is and characters that Higgins isn't doing things with or hasn't touched.
He's making me buy her as a master planner, which should not be possible.
Yep.
And she's doing things that sound counterintuitive and stupid, and I love everything about it. That whole thing she has about how you don't just kill someone's pets, you turn them against each other. And she's talking about the thing with a dragon and her brother.
Yeah.
And I also love that kind of stuff because they don't wink at the audience all the time. They're not constantly like throwing references at you. He's really subtle about it. And he's like, if you know Power Rangers, you are imagining Master Vile buying a dragon for Rita Revolto, and it's the best thing ever. Anyway, and
then taking that dragon away from him because he's not taking care of it correctly.
Yeah, it's great.
Which may have led to him being the man he is today.
While at the same time, he's got these weird snake things in front of him doing this. You get to the end of Go-Go, and it's their. The whole thing is kind of like the Power Rangers' big second mission, and they're having to figure out how to work together as a team, and how to and what exactly Zordon's rules mean to them, and they immediately screw that up in the first issue, and I love it so much. They escalate the fight, they take the fight where they shouldn't take the fight, and it's wonderful.
One of my favorite things in both these books is how both of the writers realize, like, Zordon can't do anything.
Yeah.
So the writer's like, we're going to go do this. He's like, maybe you shouldn't. And they're like, no, we're going to go do this. He's like, I would advise against it.
It's awesome. Well, and he does that in the show some, too, where he's like, I think this is a really bad idea, Rangers. And then they go do it anyway. And I'm just attitude. What am I going to do? And then I'm going to... And he never just goes, I'll try to scare them. I'll just try to be really mean. And he's like, no!
Right. He's just like, don't do that.
Never does anything. Well, and it's funny because he apparently has insane amounts of power. Can he not just zap them or something? I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to extend any of that power outside the tube.
But that would be escalating a fight, he's not about that. So anyway, we'll talk about Zordon later, because he's both fascinating and a completely blank slate all at the same time. Anyway, so gave you a little bit of background for what Go-Go is. So we have this 8-issue story arc, and the Power Rangers have ended up having to fight who they thought was Kimberly's boyfriend, and he ends up in the middle of it. He is himself, but then he gets replaced with a putty who does a really good impression of him, and then the putty becomes self-aware and doesn't like Rita anymore, and that's all kind of fun.
Is the putty the sexy lady they send down in like issue 2?
I was very confused about that
because it doesn't seem like it, but then
it turns into her.
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought that was just a plot thread we dropped, or was like long-term.
I'm also not sure why she starts. Forgive me, guys. We're still jumping around. I'm also not totally. I'm also confused as to why she starts fighting the Rangers for a minute, and then she's like, "Oh wait, no, wait a minute. I hate Rita." I was really confused as to what exactly was going on with all that.
That made sense.
Oh, it didn't? Does it?
It did to me. Like motivation-wise, that makes complete sense to me.
I just don't know why she's fighting them right away.
Because that's what she's supposed to do. But she's conflicted.
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
She's just conflicted. Okay, I thought there was something I was missing.
That's what I got.
Whatever. Anyway, so they beat her and or her, him, whatever. I think it's got to be the same character. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, no, it is because it turns into her as well.
Yeah, I just thought
it was just weird that we sent out a sexy lady and then we didn't touch back on her, and then in the final issue it's like, by the way, that lady is also.
It took me a second read because reading it month to month, I totally forgot about her from the earlier issues. Yeah, and so the Rangers have kind of found themselves a little bit more as a team, and Billy tries to leave. I mean, like, he gets to a point where he doesn't even want to be a Power Ranger, and it conflicts with his wanting to get an internship, which is connected to the other book, and I appreciated all that.
Yeah, me too.
And then. Jason is more solidified as the leader, and we get a really good, clear sense as to why he not only wants to be the leader, but has to be the leader, and that he basically at one time was like was a lot like Bulk, and was the bully, and he spends all of his time working on martial arts and fighting to not be that guy, and that's the most inspired thing in the comic.
I disagree.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, the most inspired thing in the comic to me, and the reason Go-Go is...
Okay, but you agree it's great, though.
No,
it's great.
No, it is. No, but for me, the most interesting thing, the most inspired thing, and why it makes it Buffy with Power Rangers, is the metaphor of Kimberly's boyfriend. It's that moment that you have, especially in high school and right after high school, where, like, there's no reason you don't stop being friends with people, but something changes and, like, you just start drifting apart from certain people. I used to hang out with these 6 people, but now me and 2 of them are hanging out with these people over here. Like, there's no reason. We're just... And doing Power Rangers is a metaphor for that. Like, these are all my friends, but all of a sudden they have something in common. I don't know.
I love that.
That's all great.
Yeah,
I really loved all of that.
And I just appreciate the fact that there weren't just 5 of them in the first place.
Yep.
That Zordon doesn't just pick these 5 kids because they were all friends already, and seem to kind of have the altruistic sense that he needs them to have. But it's also really fun that Perot, I just thought of this, that he keeps all the details the same, and like I said, just comes up with reasons for them. Like, he even brings up the fact that it's not Zordon that chooses the Rangers, it's Alpha. Mm-hmm. And he talks about that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really funny.
Yeah. No, it's...
But totally work. Like, it's a completely dramatic book.
Yep.
That keeps all that absurdity intact and does the thing that you're always complaining things won't do, where it doesn't... It doesn't say, oh, look how silly and stupid all this is. It just comes up with
look how much better
logic.
we are than this material. No, it goes, let's elevate this material. Yeah. Let's take this material and just make it better.
Which is what I always wanted.
Yeah, me too. The other thing I can say about Go-Go is a book I feel like I could hand to anyone. Mighty Morphin is not
whether
that.
They cared about Power
Mighty
Rangers.
Morphin, I feel like I could only...
No, issue 0, I'm like, I'm glad I'm a Power Rangers fan. Yeah.
I can hand this to people who like Power Rangers or maybe grew up with Power Rangers. If you don't know anything Power Rangers, you can read Go-Go. Go-Go is a great entry point.
No, I want very much as an experiment to have you hand that to Alyssa.
Yeah, me too.
Because she's already it's already enough in her wheelhouse because of anime things. Mm-hmm. But I think she would adore that book.
I agree. I had the same thing while I was reading it.
That's Eric's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who didn't grow up with Power Rangers.
No, doesn't know anything about it.
I don't imagine, yeah.
Nope.
But anyway, so you get to the end of issue 8, and suddenly, as we said, there's this 2-page thing that is part of the setup for Shattered Grid, where you have an evil-looking Pink Ranger with, I think, the Dragon Sword, or something that looks a lot like it. Sorry, not the Dragon Sword, the Sword of Despair?
The Sword of Darkness.
Sword of Darkness, thank you. Sorry, there's all these storybook type evil.
Well, there's the something of despair in that.
The Lord of Despair.
The Lord of Despair.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah, the alchemist guy.
He's in 2nd season, I forget.
Oh, is he a character?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was
that's cool. That's
really excited to see that guy.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Anyway, that was not, but I haven't seen that episode in so long, I can't remember where exactly it is or what happens.
You will soon.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I will soon. Yeah, I will. I'm weirdly excited about that whole thing. Okay, so, You've got her, and she is saying, "We've got to go get our Lord back." And behind her is the most curious thing.
I loved it.
It's great.
Because I have a theory.
A Finster who is wearing like a 90s skater getup that is like Alpha.
Yeah, no, it's just Alpha, right? Like, he is wearing Alpha's corpse.
Yeah, but just bear with me for a minute. But the way he's wearing it, he looks like VidKid.
He does look like VidKid.
He looks like a 90s skater kid.
I thought he was just wearing Alpha's corpse. Like, I didn't go there. I was like, oh man, he's wearing Alpha's mutilated body.
See, that's not what I got from it. Maybe that is what it's supposed to be, but it looked like a T-shirt to me at first glance. But now that I'm looking at it, it's not. It's armor. Yeah, I mean, it's metal. Oh, you're right. That is exactly what's going on. And he's got a. It's weird because he's got this like headset thing on under the visor that looks like it's attached to his brain, like he's seeing out of the visor because it's connected to his spine. Oh, that's weird. No, you're right.
And we know from promotional material that she is the Ranger Hunter.
Okay. Is she gonna be part of what calls the scary Megazord?
Maybe. I don't know.
I wonder. Yeah. The what is that called? It's that morbid Megazord. I can't remember what it's called now.
You talking about the Black Dragon?
No. You remember there's a new Megazord that they showed.
Yeah. That's the White Lion and the Red Thunder Dragon, right?
Yeah, but it has a name.
Oh, does it have a name? I don't remember.
It's not Crypt something. It's something morbid. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, so we were talking about how that doesn't seem to have anything else to do with the book. I assumed it was bookended and it had something to do with the opening, but it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it just comes...
Because the opening is just another one of the openings they keep opening a lot of these issues with, which is back 10,000 years with Rita going and either murdering someone or picking up someone. That she gets rid of her right-hand man and replaces him with Goldar, and we see her get Babu, and we see her get Squat before that, and then here, it's her getting Goldar.
If this is the only book you're reading, and I think there are people that this is the only book they're reading. I think there are people that tried Power Rangers, was like, this is really slow, dropped off, then tried Go-Go.
And it works perfectly.
Until that last page where, like, you're going to assume, if you're only reading Go-Go, and maybe there's no possible you're only reading Go-Go and you don't know about Shattered Grid.
Sure.
But you're going to assume that at the end of that issue...
It has something to do with something you've looked at already.
Yeah. Or that what you're looking at is leading to it, and it's not. Because theoretically, we're going to jump ahead, and it's just going to go back and forth between the two books.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, no, that's really problematic. And then I had kind of a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be the secondary book.
Yeah.
But it doesn't read like that when I'm reading it.
No, because it's the better book, like, in every way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will go as far as to say that I would recommend Go-Go over it, especially to people who are not already... Like, if you're just a casual Power Rangers fan, but I'm with you, I think people who don't care about Power Rangers
I agree.
would maybe like that book.
I
agree. Especially if you like or don't mind teen stuff. Like, teen angst stuff. And I mean angst the best way possible. But, like, if you're... I keep going back to this, but, like, if you're a Buffy fan, that book is for you.
No, absolutely. I agree.
So, but I don't want to make it sound like we hate the main book.
I dislike it more than you do. My overview thoughts...
I have so much fun with it while I'm reading it, man. Like, I'm very critical of it. There's a lot of things I can complain about. I just can't get enough of it when I'm reading it.
My overview thoughts are, it's good, but boy is it disappointing. It's a slog, and I feel like it feels insincere. When I read Go-Go, I feel like someone who... I feel like the writer is probably someone who grew up with Power Rangers. Whether he stuck around or not, I'm not sure, but he probably grew up with it. I don't think Kyle Higgins ever saw Power Rangers before this. I think he went and did his research. I don't think he has any connection to that material.
No, it does read like that a little bit, but I think for someone that was maybe... I mean, I don't know how he got that job, but like, if he was hired to do that, or if he was just like, yeah, I'll take that. Like, for somebody that didn't grow up with that material, he's got an interesting take on it. I mean, like he does some fun things with it. He's got ideas.
But a lot of things that I think he thinks are fun, I think only someone who's not... No one
The biggest
ever
one is you know what I'm going to say.
The
is that where you're going to go?
No one ever thought, wouldn't it be cool if all the Rangers were the same color? He thinks it's awesome.
Here's the thing. When that happens... There's a great reason for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a perfectly logical, within this context, reason for that to happen. But it feels like it's an excuse to do it, like we all just could not wait.
And it's like a double-page splash, like you can't believe what you're seeing.
We love Green Ranger so much that it's a big deal to see the original 5 all in that color.
Well, and
what's
when you have
weird
Draken coming around, like, it feels like that's the only thing he knows about Power Rangers is people like the Green Ranger.
People love the Green Ranger. And when you, and Green and White, because he mixes them.
Well, and unfortunately,
for Draken.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. Sure. Well, and that's why Shattered Grid is so insanely popular.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people care about it so much. But one of the reasons it's a little bit weird that we make such a big deal out of how cool that is, and I'm just getting that from the way it's drawn, and I mean, like,
it feels excited about this, like you've never seen this before.
To be fair, there's a lot of that in this book where it's almost, I don't want to say it's straight up art over story, but I feel like it gets away with being as lengthy and decompressed as it is, and I'll admit that it is. It was a bigger problem for me monthly than it was reading it all together. Like I said, I kind of couldn't get enough.
But you've also had a first pass on it. Reading it all together, this is my first time reading it.
I may have had that if it was my first pass. Absolutely, yeah.
I've
lived with this concept for a long time of, we're not straight up reimagining it.
Draken is,
and when I say reimagine, I still would want the aesthetic. I'd still want it to look exactly as it looked.
Yeah. The Draken arc is 16 issues with 3 filler issues.
Yeah, sure.
It's a 13-issue arc, and maybe if I didn't read those filler issues, it wouldn't have felt as long, but I feel like it could have been 6. I think a better writer could have done it in 6, and had all of the same character and emotional beats. It feels, and especially when we get to the Draken stuff, it's kind of a letdown to me, where I'm like, yes, but what about this? Oh, it's a dark future. Yes, but what about that?
Let's get there in a second. Let me finish my thought from a minute ago real fast, which is just, how do you make such a big deal out of they're all the same color, and then right before they get their colors back, Kimberly or someone says, we don't look good in green? It's weird. It's like I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad.
And you also don't look that different, because Power Rangers uniforms are uniform.
Well, I mean, they have different helmets.
I know they have different helmets, but like it doesn't look that different. I don't know.
And, and again, we do it in pink, too. And like I said, the reason we do it, it makes perfect sense. The idea is, and I like the whole thing with how the powers work and why they're not able to get to them, and the idea that they still have their powers, but they can't access the morphing grid, so they can't morph. And
we could talk about that.
What's the problem with it?
It just feels like gobbledygook. Every time we get into anything that's like mythology or technology, I feel like he's just saying things to do whatever it is he wants to. I don't want the Rangers to be able to morph, so I'm going to say he shoots a beam through the green coin into the morphing grid, and that... We use the word morphing grid so much, I have no idea what the morphing grid is.
Yeah.
If he's gonna do this much, I want him to world build. He's not. He's just using it as excuses.
You know what my problem is, to some degree, and I'm not saying this to completely concede.
Mm-hmm.
But if and maybe I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because it's a slow burn and there's so many issues already, but it feels like an ongoing, like a big ongoing story more than it feels like a couple of arcs. And we're in a new phase now, but it still feels like one big story. Mm-hmm. I'm still trusting it enough to kind of, as I'm going, and maybe I shouldn't, to kind of expect that stuff will continue to get built upon. I don't think it doesn't make sense. I just don't know what all the rules are. It reads to me like the rules are there, but let me say this.
Okay.
I think part of the reason is I just got finished writing about 60 episodes of Mighty Morphin, and it's got so much more of an internal logic than that did.
Sure.
That in comparison to that, it feels like Star Trek. And
but in comparison to Go-Go, it feels like 09 Star Trek.
But Go-Go isn't dealing with as much of the technical side.
No, but it deals with it somewhat. Like whenever Go-Go touches that stuff, I don't like. When this starts talking, my eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
And like it'll be like 2 pages where Billy's explaining something. I'm like, not only do I not care, I don't know what you're saying.
But couldn't someone make and this is why it's so frustrating that it's not a Tom Waltz Ninja Turtles-esque reimagining. Couldn't someone very easily make the argument, well, what's your point? Isn't it cool that it's so faithful to the material in that show that it can be as character driven and sophisticated in characterization as it is and still be technobabbly? That's what that show was. I'm playing devil's advocate with this. That's not exactly what I want.
Someone can make that argument, but the rest of the show feels like it wants to be more sophisticated and it feels lazy there. It feels like I
the rest
need
of
the
the
Rangers.
powers,
I need the Rangers to not be able to morph. So I will say something. And I've read hundreds of thousands of superhero comics where we do things like this all the time, and I never read them, and I'm like, okay, I guess, which is exactly what I got with
You really think
a
that-
beam through a coin.
That just reads as a plot device. I didn't really even think about it like that.
I feel like that, and you know I don't like the ending. I think the ending of Draken feels like a bunch of technobabble that doesn't make any sense and feels lazy.
Just to get us back over to
Yeah.
And again, I'm just so used to that kind of thing with Power Rangers. I'm just excited.
And maybe it all reads better on a second read. But my initial impressions reading through this whole thing is it feels slow, and it feels, I don't know, like it doesn't feel like it has a take.
Well, and
it has a take on the characters, but not on,
and you know
on
me,
Power Rangers.
Plot is this is my great weakness as a reviewer. Plot is always the absolute last thing I grasp.
Sure.
It gets me in trouble sometimes.
It's secondary to you.
Sometimes I need a third or fourth pass of a thing before I go, well, wait, that doesn't make sense. Because you'll hear me in Rewind a lot talk about plot holes and logical fallacies and things. That's after I've taken a lot of notes and
you've lived with the movie.
Lived with it, yeah. And I haven't really lived with this as much.
I'm not saying that as plot holes, although I don't know how they could be plot holes because he just pays over it. Like it's don't think about this.
But you say contrivances before anything.
Yeah, and like
not even conveniences. Just you contrive that situation because you want this to happen, as opposed to it feeling like, okay, we have an actual, like, for real dilemma we have to deal with.
And the payoff is never good enough for me. Like I can go with stuff like that.
Do you find yourself irritated because Green Ranger's such a big deal and he's obsessed with Tommy that of course we have to take the other five's powers away, and it's Tommy that has the because here's the thing. What I liked about it was building on what mythology we had with the original, where we know that there is something different about the Green Ranger powers, and I like that. See, from where I'm sitting.
But we don't explain it. We just say that here. Why don't we explain it? Why don't we explain where it comes from? Why don't we explain what it is?
No, hold on. You're not being fair to it when you say that.
Okay.
We can't... Maybe it's dumb that we don't have a conversation about it later when we get Zordon back, but they don't have anybody that can tell them that. They treat it as a mystery. That's not fair. They treat it as a mystery.
But they don't go into it, ever. We're 25 issues in.
And that's an issue, and that's a problem, but by the time we get past the Draken arc, I forgot all about it, because we're not talking about that stuff anymore, so that's why I didn't think of it until just now.
Yeah.
You're not wrong that that's a problem. In the moment, it's played as a mystery. The bigger issue here is we need back matter for Zordon and Rita. That's the bigger issue. And we haven't done any of that yet, and we should have by now.
Yeah.
That's the bigger problem. I don't think that's information that you could very readily or naturally give the Rangers right now, although it is in a laundry list of questions I would ask Zordon after he came back. Because we deal with, and we'll talk about Zordon a little bit, we deal with, in the second arc, and I love this a lot, the idea that, and this is consistent with the show, that Zordon, and I talked about this and made fun of it in my overview of Season 1, that Zordon is constantly waiting to the last minute to tell us anything.
Yeah.
And in that show, very often, they will beam into the command center when they see horrible things going down, and Zordon just explains it all to them, and I'm like, why didn't we get a phone call? It's hilarious. We make it a dramatic issue in this, and the idea is Zordon has that compartmental Nick Fury thing where he just waits until the last minute. It's all need to know.
Zordon seems to have a really hard time, like Zordon, especially when you get to the second arc, almost reads like nervous, like he doesn't want to hurt your feelings, and like he doesn't. He feels like someone really uncomfortable telling you bad news.
I want to talk about that because I think there's a great potential reason for that. But what I was going to say is that's the reason I'm assuming that he's not telling the Rangers about how the green coin works, because, as you say, he doesn't like to get into anything from his past that makes him look more ambiguous. And some of that's because he wants to be trustworthy with the Rangers, and some of that might be because he knows that he will at times do things that he thinks are necessary that could get people into trouble, and I can't decide if he's hiding behind the Ranger Code or if he's a hypocrite.
He feels kind of naive.
Yeah, exactly. That's where and I love that. I love that in comparing him to like Splinter in the current Tom Waltz comics, where he knows he's going against principles sometimes, and that it's all ends justifies the means. He thinks it's necessary to do the thing he's doing. Zordon thinks it's all going to work out.
Yeah. Even when he meets himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this book picks up immediately after Green with Evil.
Yeah.
The first question I would ask is, why did Rita have a Ranger coin?
Yeah, exactly.
So
what we're talking about is...
Because it can't be just when Zoran gets back. That should be the first thing. That should be the opening page. Why did Rita have this? And now I'm reading a book saying they're going into stuff that we never got into.
The reason I'm saying it's important that we get that stuff soon or like now, or like already, or like months ago, is because we're told that we didn't explain this. We're told that the Green Ranger coin works differently than the other coins. That it talks to the Morphin grid differently, and it needs to. And I like that.
It's like an HDMI and an AV cable.
They're
both going to TV, but different ways.
It's more like HDMI and coax because one of them is more powerful than the other one.
Yeah,
and and again, that's consistent with the series. Like, we're told in a couple spots that for some reason, I mean in the show, that for some reason, the Green Ranger's shield has extra power in it.
Mm.
But if it's just another Ranger coin, how come it's more powerful? What is that about? Why is that? And it has to have something to do with Rita and why she has it. And that was always the case.
Mm.
The trouble right now is we're asking more of those questions initially, but I'm still in the same place I am with the series, where I'm like, but I don't know why yet at all. And so it's frustrating, but I want to think that we'll get there.
I don't think he's thinking about that anymore.
Do you not?
When we get to,
I think that's maybe a fair.
He's all bracketing and like now we're gonna have 4 million Rangers. I don't think he cares.
So you think I'm trusting it too much?
I think you're trusting it too much.
All right.
That's my feeling. But I didn't have as good a read as you did.
Yeah.
I thought it was lazy in a lot of spots. I thought it took too long. I don't think any of the filler issues are enough a step down art to justify being filler issues. And I feel like 10-page annual stories, not whole issues.
I agree with that with the Billy issue.
The Zaxxy issue comes up later, but it doesn't feel relevant to the story being told right now. It just feels like...
No, the Billy issue at least was.
Yeah.
To some degree.
And also,
just character building. You need to know where he's got at this point. Although, I would make the argument that... Okay, I don't know if this is fair. This is a thought I had while I was reading Go-Go.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's right. I don't know if this is a fair thought. But I had the thought, Billy gets far enough along in building his self-confidence and feeling like he deserves to be a Power Ranger in Go-Go. I don't know if I buy where he is in some of Mighty Morphin.
No, absolutely. Well, and also, I don't buy the Billy issue. The Billy issue, it's really unfortunate that this is right next to Go-Go, because Go-Go feels really smart. Go-Go feels on the level of something like Buffy. Mighty Morphin feels like a more sophisticated kids' cartoon. Why is Billy reading the hero's journey in how to live his real life? Why is he reading a fictional outline and thinking that's how his...
No, I don't agree with you.
You like that?
I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay, that feels really weird to me.
Okay, it's not about his real
really...
life. He thinks he's supposed to be a superhero.
Right.
And he is seeing more of that in his friends, and he's not seeing it in himself. And the idea with the monomyth is that...
I also love how very specific that monomyth is. It's so specific.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Yeah. Well, but that's because... No, that's because it's I see why you're saying that, but, like, I'm somewhat familiar with that stuff. That's because it comes from the classic epics, and so... they're put in those terms because that's where it starts. But the each step of the monomyth can be linked to and parallel to each of those what sound like really specific things that happen.
No, I get the Joseph Campbell thing, but like one of them is like cut its head off,
right.
And I think that's really funny. It's like it's very specific. You cut its head off. I think that's amusing.
But that's because it's a specific allegory. I mean, like, right. The allegory is all one thing. So,
right.
Yeah. But anyway, no, the thing with the monomyth, of course, as you know, I'm going to explain a thing you know already.
Yeah.
Is
as
that,
you know, Bob,
is that you're not supposed to look at the monomyth and write the monomyth.
Yeah.
The monomyth happens naturally.
Yeah, it's within you.
It's that we all keep telling that story because somehow it seems to be. This is at least Campbell's thinking. Is that somehow it's tied to human condition, and we can't stop telling the story.
It seems to be hardwired into us.
So if Billy believes in that and thinks Campbell's right, and that's hardwired into us as a story. Stories are about finding real life truth, and Billy thinks that if he's a hero, he's supposed to have lived that.
Yeah, I don't know. I
think it's a good idea.
He takes it very literally, and I feel like he's smarter than that. I don't know. It just felt weird to me. Like I don't hate it. It felt a little. Like,
but that's consistent with other things we talk about with that character, where he analyzes everything. He overthinks things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's doing that with that, where he's like, well, if I'm a hero, this is what the deconstruction of a hero is. How come I haven't hit all these beats?
Yeah.
No, I think that's very much. I like that a lot. I'm with you. I don't think the issue needed to be as long as it was. It took me 4.5 minutes to read.
Well, both those stories. It could have been it could have been one fill-in issue with both of those stories as 10 pagers.
Yeah, I also think, and I know I'm comparing this to Ninja Turtles a lot, but obviously Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles have a lot of things in common, and I keep feeling like this should have been the reimagining that was with IDW.
If Hasbro gets it, I bet you that will happen. It will go over to IDW and they will reboot.
Do you think so?
Everything Hasbro has is at IDW.
It
could be a Marvel Disney situation.
I hope they don't try to put Power Rangers in their Hasbro universe. I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that.
I hadn't had that thought.
I don't think they would do that.
But would they with movies? Because they're trying to make this Hasbro universe thing. I could see it. Power Rangers is so big. And it would be, then, the most popular property they have, apart from Transformers.
Yeah.
No, there's a thing there.
And
Megazords and Transformers and, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they do that, but I don't know.
I'm not saying that I can't...
Because they do have some compartmentalization. Like, they're not mixing My Little Pony with ROM and...
Sure, but the Power Rangers... Right, and that's all stuff that started as Toys First, and Power Rangers technically didn't.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think they do that. I don't know, but I don't think they would.
But I mean, I would be fine with Elseworlds-ish crossovers. I mean, like Power Rangers and Transformers go together like bacon and eggs.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad idea.
Absolutely.
In that scenario, I don't know which one is bacon and which one is eggs, but they would go together like bacon and eggs. What were we talking about? Now the Hasbro thing threw me off.
Billy and the monomyth.
Yeah. Okay.
And the issues.
So Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
I can't help but think that it would have been less intrusive to make them micro-series.
Yes.
Make them one-shots.
I agree.
You said put them in as annuals, but if you needed them to come out right then, just make them one-shots. Because even as padded as maybe they were, make them one-shots. You wouldn't mind that as much. The problem is communication, okay? We get to the end of 9. I think Billy's is 10. I can't remember. Maybe
I think you're right.
Wrong.
I'm almost positive you're right.
We have some of it in front of us, but some of it is behind us for set dressing. I don't have other Power Rangers comics. These are the Power Rangers comics. Well, I have a couple of the older Power Rangers comics, but I didn't have enough to fill that up with, and the covers aren't as nice. Anyway, but with I also like the covers better than Eric does.
They're really bland and generic. Like none of them are bad. It's like Ultimate Spider-Man. All of the covers are just Spider-Man. Like, fine.
But with the communication issue, you get to the end of 9 or whichever issue it is, and it doesn't let us know that next month we're not going to get the resolution to the cliffhanger. And most of these issues end on either a big character reveal, like comics tend to do, or on a big cliffhanger where you can't wait to find out what happens next. I want to know when there's going to be a fill-in issue. Maybe I've been spoiled by some of what DC Marvel does. They tend to tell you.
Well, and also... the two biggest cliffhangers are the ones that they put... Like, it's almost like they're punishing you. Like, no, you wait. You wait to see what evil Green White Ranger is. No, you wait to see what happens after the command center's blown up.
I mean, you're more negative than I am with things like that, Eric. I don't think it's a you wait thing. I think it's more, isn't it fun to make you wait? You see what I'm saying? It's like we do that with TV all the time.
And I hate it there, too.
You like to end, a mid-season, or there's going to be a 3-week break with give us something to make us come back. It doesn't work as well in comics because I spent money again. You know what I mean?
Well, and even to commercial break, right? Like you end on a big thing, go to commercial break, you come back, and you're doing something else with other characters. I hate that, and I think they think it's.
I hate that too.
I think they think it's fun. I think they think we think it's fun. I don't think it's fun. You come back and you tell me what you said you were going to tell. It's the news thing, right? Like they keep telling you they're going to give you the story you tuned in to see.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's more likely that they know that their artist is going to need an occasional break, and they intentionally set it up so that happens over a big cliffhanger. I think it's more likely that's happening, especially because we had it happen twice.
Yeah, it's just I don't remember where the Zordon issue falls. Which I think is the weakest of the three.
But the Zordon issue I don't think of as much as a filler issue, because it's the one of those that doesn't take place way in the past.
No, it builds on what's happened.
And it's built on more later too.
Yeah. My issue is you're already taking way too long to tell this story and tell me what is interesting about all of this, and then we have this issue with Zordon, which I think is the weakest of the three fill-ins, but also the conversation between the two Zordons is great.
It's great.
I really like that. It took me too long to get there. That could have been a subplot in another issue. It didn't need to be its whole own issue. But the conversation is great. I love the idea that Zordon, even after Tommy's gone evil, is going to be like, no, trust your Tommy. Like, we always have to believe in people. We can never lose that. I really like that.
Yeah, and he sticks to his principles to a fault, and that's what's weird is, so let's go ahead and talk about that. So, sometimes things get dicey with the notion of ends-based ethics versus means-based ethics, right? Mm. It is possible, I think, and I'm just kind of talking out loud, thinking out loud. It is possible, I guess, because I run into these things sometimes where I can't tell the difference. For one to kind of like round the curb and turn into the other. Mm-hmm. So Zordon is not ends based. He's means based. Mm-hmm. He's or rather virtue based, right? So he doesn't care what the consequences are. He's always going to do what he thinks are the right thing. Mm-hmm. Is the right thing. But sometimes he'll end up doing a thing to try to hold on to his ethics that end up sort of looking like, but I had to do this knowing what would happen. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then it sometimes starts to accidentally look more ends-based. And I don't mean that that's initially where he comes from. That's not his that's not his initial motivation, but he starts to look more like Nick Fury when he's actually Captain America.
Mm-hmm. What?
When he's hiding things from the Rangers and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you be completely transparent?
It's because
with that morality.
With some of that stuff, it really feels like he's a little kid.
Yeah.
And so we do this in the second arc. We have that thing, the flashback issue, right? And I was like, oh, Zordon's doing something kind of duplicitous. Except whenever we cut back or whenever we talk about that again, he wasn't. He was just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And, trusting and naive, and he was like, you guys all go work together.
And that's where Higgins starts to look more like Perot, because in that, and he does some of that. It's just Perot, that's his whole book. What Higgins does there is he says, okay, in the pilot, Zordon and Alpha just pick 5 teenagers they don't really know a whole lot about, and they throw them into this foray, and they just expect them to beat a giant Goldar, and they have no training, and we don't train in Mighty Morphin. We actually train here, but
in the pocket dimensions,
but it makes me think that back in the 70s, Zordon never thought to train anybody, and he just throws them on the moon, and there's a ticking clock, but. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of cool that he doesn't pick teenagers back then.
Yeah.
He's a little bit smarter about it. He's not smart, but he's a little smarter about it. And he doesn't pick teenagers.
Well, I guess the idea would be that you pick teenagers because they're more idealistic than adults.
Which we've never come out and spelled out. That's a great point you're making. That's got to be what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, we hint at it in Go-Go a little bit, don't we?
Yeah. I really like what he's done with Zordon in that I feel like the obvious thing to do with a character like Zordon, like we've done with Professor X in the comics, is to go back and look at all the things that don't make sense because it's written for children, and go well, look, he's a bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
Look, he's got ulterior motives. We just kind of looked at it all and was like, no, it doesn't really make sense. He's too altruistic.
Yeah.
And I really like that as a take.
It's kind of scary.
I really like that. I will say, The Draken stuff I didn't dislike.
But I still don't feel like I know enough about him.
No. And
that's why I say he's a little bit of a clean slate, because there are places where I don't know if we're doing that on purpose, but I want to think we are.
Yeah. The Draken stuff is way too decompressed, and I don't... I think it's possible that while writing this book, Kyle Higgins became a fan of Power Rangers, because when you get to the next arc, when you get to all of that stuff with Zordon, it almost feels like a different book. Like, it's like he found his voice and what he actually wants to do and explore on this book.
Yeah, and it feels worthy of... Worthy's not the right word. But
it feels much closer to Go-Go.
That second arc can lift the hammer now, because that kind of material is better served taking its time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that first arc, while there's some pretty good character work, and we're we're building these we're building these personalities quite a bit, but I have issues with the fact that Tommy kind of just falls away in that second arc. I have a really hard time with that. But I don't need the whole thing to be about him, but I want to know more about like what he thinks he's learned from Draken and everything. It's so focused on him in that first arc that I feel like he's just kind of in the background by the second arc, and that was very much our focal point. So that feels really weird to me. But what I'm saying is
now it's kind of about Jason. Which, again, wouldn't be as weird if we were doing shorter arcs and we were like, we're going to Tommy arc, Jason arc, like, and then we got back to Draken. Like, I think some of that stuff might work better.
But it was, it was making a case for how interesting it is to compare Tommy to his future self in another dimension. Put a pin in that, I want to talk about that. I forgot about that. But we haven't really talked about a lot of the Draken stuff yet. But anyway, it's the whole thing is about how, Tommy could go that way, but he has a choice, and he already made the right choice right after agreeing with evil, so the idea is
he's already not Draken.
Had already taken a step in the right direction. He's too hard on himself. He should trust his instincts. And then, after we've dealt with that, I think Higgins thinks that he's gotten Tommy to more of a place than I do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of want more from him, at least at the beginning of the second. I just need a conversation where he talks to somebody about it, and that happens too late.
Yeah.
It happens too late. That's my issue with that. But with that second arc, it feels like it's less plot driven than that first arc. So we did some good character work, but it still felt a little bit more plotty.
Yeah.
And the second arc, it's all ideological argument.
Well, and we're also getting into some of the characters' lives, which we're not doing in the first arc almost at all.
Right.
We have I really like the bit with Kimberly and Tommy. I really like their conversation. I like them being kind of awkward around each other, and I like the stuff with Kimberly's parents. Like, I like all that quite a bit.
Yeah, and then when we get into 25, I feel really bad for her.
Yes.
That whole thing where she wanted to kiss him, and like that was a really unusual, very real world believable thing to me. Where she's in that alley. And, well, the fact that he gets stabbed is what makes it really bad. We're going to spoil everything. No, you're finally going to get what you want. No! Yeah, he's going to be Illyria next issue. No, but Kimberly is worried about dating somebody again, and after what happens with Matt and Go-Go, who's the boyfriend that gets replaced with a putty. And they're not dating anymore. And then, yeah, I know it's real serious stuff we're talking about, but it is.
It feels serious.
It's wonderful. And then
this is a big purple spaceman. Like,
and then for a minute, no, it's all right. Well, and I was going to say, speaking
who collects jewelry.
Anyway, I'll just go where I was going to go. We're what in the world?
Cosmically important jewelry.
But with Tommy and Kimberly, I think he's worried that she's not sure about him because of Draken, and that doesn't have anything to do with it at all. And I think she trusts him better than he trusts himself, and I buy all that, and I buy them together.
Yeah. Well, I think all the character stuff is better in the second arc. I really like this. Billy is good in the Draken stuff. I like what we're building on. I feel like...
And let me say, I liked putting Billy and Tommy together in the future. Mm-hmm. I thought that relationship was interesting. And anytime we put them back together, I'm like, oh, see, they have like a rapport now.
Yeah. Maybe not Zach or Trini, but I feel like everyone else, the first arc is so Tommy-focused. And like Billy gets some stuff too, but it's so Tommy-focused. The second arc feels more like a team book.
It does. Yeah,
it feels like everymaybe everybody's getting stuff to do. I guess Zach does get
maybe part
Trini's
of
really the only, not weak link, but like... like the TV show, they don't know what to do with her.
See, you read Go-Go first, and I was
I love
not sure that was
Go-Go.
I was not sure that was a good idea because I knew how much how much better the character stuff was in that, or at least I don't know. It reads a little bit more sophisticated to me from the very beginning, and the thing is, it is that team book from the beginning. It's about all those guys.
Yeah. It's the most I've ever liked Trini.
Yeah, no, she's great.
I really like Go-Go's Trini. I really like Go-Go's all of them, but like Trini never has anything to do, like, and she still doesn't have anything to do, but like I like her character, and I think she's really interesting.
But real quick, because I never finished it.
Yeah.
So Kimberly in that alleyway, when she just has that moment where she's like, I don't know why I didn't just kiss him. Where it's like, like she's the one who suggested they go out in the first place, and then she's like, we should take it slow, and then she's like, I don't know why we need to take it that slow. It's almost like I said that just because that's what I'm expected to say in that situation, and then she's like, wait, no, this is what I really want, and I don't know, like I really appreciated her in that moment turning around, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, we do the tragic thing we have to do.
Which won't stick, and comic books need to stop doing this to me.
And then that's weird, because, well, especially when you say things in advertising, like "No Ranger is safe." No, don't do that, because if they kill people off and they have changed the continuity moving forward, and
if Tommy stays
dead, I'm so impressed.
But I don't believe
it won't happen.
Because they never do it.
Well, also because that whole first arc is about Tommy. They're like,
and it's evil Tommy. What's the point of killing off Tommy if you're gonna have evil Tommy running around?
Well, maybe that's the whole. If they do that, they won't do that. I will be very surprised if they keep him dead. That will be the thing. Everybody loves Draken. We don't need Tommy anymore. We have Draken.
Isn't it awful that we have gotten to this place now where it's like, oh man, they killed somebody. It's like, all right, well, if you keep him dead, maybe I'll go back and this will have meaning. It's just, I like the second arc a lot better. That feels so lazy to me. We're going to open this book with killing Tommy. You never thought this would happen. Yeah, because I know it's not going to stick.
Here's the thing.
It's a Donatello being dead thing, right? Although I haven't seen the other explode over.
I am sure I'm going to... Yeah, it's just because they already bought the book before they knew it. That's the other way you know it's not going to stick, is we didn't know about it ahead of time. Although I don't think we knew about Donatello ahead of time. You know why? Because he wasn't dead.
Yeah, they didn't make anything to publicize. Donatello gets beaten half to death.
It was more than half to death. He was almost dead. I mean, remember, he had to put his consciousness in a robot. But, so, the thing is, I'm hoping I'm wrong about this. I think Shattered Grid is actually going to be just a big gimmicky romp that's real crisis-y, and then when it's over, it's not going to really have that much effect on the status quo moving forward. I want to think
that's what the first 16 issues were, right? That's all the Draken stuff is.
Or it will have a huge impact on all of that, but won't hold together real great as a story itself, where it's just like, well, we wanted to get to this huge new status quo shift, like we do with DC and Marvel quite a bit. It could just be Flashpoint.
My big hope is Shattered Grid is them.
But I'm gonna enjoy the romp of it. Is the thing. Like even if that ends up happening, it is fun to see all those different shows together, and they are already doing some clever things with some of that stuff.
Well,
the Time Force opening is cool.
No, it is.
I'm excited that we already have Ninja and like Ninja, and once again,
I love the. It looks like somebody just forced these together. Like you need some finesse. Like with Ninja where he's talking about that, I really like that.
With the Morphin, yeah. Once again, we're consistent with these altruistic, naive characters who just kind of trust everything and give everything the benefit of the doubt until they have absolutely a reason. Not to, and the whole thing, it's always you have to be reactionary, and you can't ever preempt anything, and it ends up just like Ninja is exactly like Zordon. He should be able to smell out Draken immediately. It's really interesting that he doesn't, right? And so when you really start to break down that philosophy versus Draken's, or versus Grace's, who we haven't even talked about, you end up with two extremes, and neither of them really fully works. There needs to be a balance. Like, Zordon needs to get to a place where he allows the Power Rangers sometimes to to preempt things, and then the question
One
is
has to get to a case by case
basis. Where exactly where you get to a place, because I haven't said that enough. That if we ever do a drinking game, where you have. Eric was talking about drinking games earlier for Geekvolution. That would be one of them. Where you just have to decide where to put the line. Like Zordon's philosophy is a really noble one. The idea that you have to make sure that you're always responsible with power. That you the way you don't let power control you is that you only use it when your heart's in the right place. You only use it to protect yourself or to help other people. And the problem is that in reality, when you do that, you get people killed sometimes. And then the question is, but do those people end up having to die in order to eventually change hearts and minds? And that's where I get off saying, but then sometimes it starts to feel kind of ends-based when it's not supposed to be, right?
Yeah. You know what totally kills that Ninjor scene, though?
What's that?
I read in his voice.
I'm so excited that we're talking about this kind of stuff with Power Rangers, by the way. It's just wonderful. Yeah, I did too. That's a thing that both of these books do really well. Is characters that I'm really familiar with. I always have their voice in my head. I have it with Tommy. I have it with Draken. I have it with Draken, especially now because I've listened to Jason's interview with Frank Draken.
Me too.
It's in there. It's wonderful. I have it with Zordon. And I realized that he's writing Zordon dialogue.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. They're both writing Zordon dialogue.
Go-Go's Billy is wonderful. Mighty Morphin's is good. But Go-Go's Billy feels really... Somehow it is
somehow sounds more Yoasty?
It sounds more Yoasty. It's so much that vernacular, but more complex, and I always buy it. This one, it feels like sometimes he talks kind of normal, and sometimes he talks kind of Yoasty.
I will say the character that is the most reinvented from how from how he seems in the performance, but is consistent throughout both books, I think is Jason.
Yep, I have the same thing with Jason.
I don't tend to have Austin St. John's voice in my head when I read him.
Me either. I have the exact same thing. It's because...
In fact, this is going to sound dumb. I love these books. I developed a voice for Mad.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that dialogue is so consistently written, and everybody has such a unique voice that I got to where I had a voice for him in my head. He's not even cast. There's not even an actor. I never really had that with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I never had St. John in my head.
Yeah, no, I never had St. John in my head. But that's because... Jason's not monosyllabic, but he's not a talker.
He's not a talker.
And this Jason is more of a talker. And so
I just don't see this guy with the kind of voice, you know?
I want you to take that clip, and I want you to bring it to Austin St. John next Power Morphicon.
That seems like I'm being mean to Austin St. John. That's not what I mean.
He just mean,
Tyrannosaur. You don't see him with that voice.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I don't.
No, Jason's my favorite. I love Austin St. John.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just...
I don't explain myself to you. I make him sound like Brian Regan. It's Morphin time!
The thing that I hope from Shattered Grid
is
that I hope there was like a moment where they realized, like, wait, you know that there's other Power Rangers fans, right? Like, you don't... Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Power Rangers should be being sold to people like me. And the reason... The comic book Power Rangers. Because... Most everyone that's stuck with Power Rangers...
He doesn't mean in mass.
No,
obviously Power Rangers should be a kid's thing
sometimes.
No.
I'm talking about the comic books. Most people that stuck with Power Rangers are also comic book people. Most people that left Power Rangers are not inherently also comic book people.
That's true.
It should be being sold to me.
Yeah.
We should have launched with a Mighty Morphin and a Time Force and a whatever. We should have been doing all this stuff
unless
in the
they
first place.
couldn't. Because as we said before, then maybe they weren't allowed to do that.
But the way it reads...
The timing is interesting.
The way it reads is kind of like, well, we got this whole other thing we can do, and I'm hoping Shattered Grid leads to the way Titan's handling...
Who thing.
The way Titan's handling Doctor Who. We're like, we get a Time Force mini, and maybe if that's successful, we'll get an ongoing. And we'll try Lightspeed Rescue, and we'll try an RPM, we'll try
We'll just do the popular ones.
Yeah. There will never be a Mystic Force. Maybe there's a miniseries. I think all of them could get a miniseries. Well, maybe not Operation Overdrive, but you know.
I think it would also be cool to see some of those characters get stuck in the present. I think that would be okay.
Yeah, no, that could be cool.
I mean, the thing is, we've already... Okay, so... We should wrap this up in a little bit.
For them,
There's
it's
so
stuck
much
in
to
the
talk
past.
about. Yeah, that's true. The present for us. The present we're currently reading. The present we're presently reading. So, I'm really conflicted about the Draken thing, because I kind of get to some degree, why you would want to be able to get to certain things in the continuity that you can't get to if you stay in first season continuity for a long time. There's a lot of trying to have a cake and eat it too, right? Where we want to do Green Ranger, but we also want to do Saba. We also want to do the Thunder Megazord, and there's imagery that, oh crap, we've been doing this for a year and we haven't gotten any of this stuff yet. What do we do? The answer to that would have been do something like Go earlier and jump around time. But then you have that, is it a reimagining or is it part of the TV show problem? Because if we jump around time too much, then we keep all that stuff canon, and then we're kind of handcuffed to continuity we have already. So maybe that's not the smart way to go. I don't know. That's why we should have, as we said earlier, just been a reimagining in the first place. But anyway, so we want to be able to go our own way after the stuff we're doing with Green and with Evil, and right away we're saying, okay, we've got Rita in Tommy's head. That clearly didn't happen in the series. It seems like we're kind of going our own way from a moment moving forward, and then we turn it into an alternate timeline for the timeline we have already.
Because Green Ranger brings over Saba.
Yeah, and so
I love
now,
murdering Saba. That was great.
That was wonderful. Yeah. And it kind of bothered me. I love that it bothered me.
Yeah.
Like, we broke a plastic head off of a sword, and they made me like... I mean, he was like Jarvis or something.
Yeah.
I felt bad about that. That was wonderful. Anyways, but, so bear with me, folks. So you have, like, this already pseudo-imagined new Power Rangers timeline that then, in a kind of, like, Star Trek 09 way, soft reboots itself. Because it wants to be able to get that stuff in already, and I'm like, well, now I feel weird and funky about it because I'm too curious about what the timeline would have looked like had we not done that. So, like, is this how we take it away? Like, does Power Rangers Pain happen in the original way that would have gone, or like I don't know. I don't know where it's an Enterprise kind of problem. It's funky. I wouldn't have done that. And what bugs me about it is, and I wouldn't have minded that nearly as much, I don't think, if it wasn't squarely, because obviously this is not how this timeline would have gone, but we went to another dimension also, and I don't love that. I think it's a lot more interesting if the diverging point, and I don't mean to rewrite it, but I feel like it would have been a lot more interesting if the idea was you had this diverging point with Tommy and Draken, and our Tommy hasn't actually gotten there yet. Wouldn't that be so much more interesting?
No, it is. And then we could build to that moment.
Yeah, I wish that's what we had done, and then I wouldn't mind the alternate timeline thing so much. Because he has to pick which timeline he's going to be in. That's not really that's not what we do. Instead, we wind up in some other timeline where it's this kind of what if timeline where at the end of Green with Evil, instead of joining the Rangers, Tommy says, "I'm not sure about that," and he goes and talks to Rita, and then he decides to stay evil.
Well, and then at any point, like the way they did do Draken. It feels
I would love to know what the catalyst was for that too, right? Like it feels like, so you have a diverging point, but there's not anything else that changes that makes him get to that.
No, it just seems like in this one he chose this, and this one he chose that,
and that's it. Yeah.
With how they do Draken, I don't understand why. Like, Draken could have been done anywhere where Tommy is. It doesn't have to be right after Green with Evil. It could have been while he's the White Ranger. It could have been while he was at Zeo. It could have been in Dino Thunder. It doesn't have any more or less impact, right? Like, it's just, in this universe, you chose this path.
Well, I think it's supposed to be more believable because he's never a Ranger. Because he's never actually with that team. And he doesn't have their kind of, rhetoric built into him.
What I mean is, if you did, let's say you do a Zeo miniseries.
Yeah.
And you introduce Draken.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel like it's any less interesting to Tommy, I guess, that there was an alternate timeline where he chose the wrong path at the beginning. Like, we're already past that point. Why does it have to be here and now?
They make it interesting enough
because Tommy's questioning himself now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the idea, and I think the idea is supposed to be he's in a Luke Skywalker place if he could go either way.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes him a while to get Rita out of his head.
No, that makes sense.
Did you finally look at 4?
I did read 4 when I read that.
Isn't it kind of one of the better issues?
It is.
I think it's really good.
And I wish I'd read it in sequence. But
yeah. I didn't have it for some reason. I had to order it, but it has a great Megazord fight.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Okay, so could I do 2 kind of not nitpicky, more fanboy-y complaints about the series?
Yeah, absolutely.
One is, I don't like that we did the Draken thing and kind of, well, what it looks like we're doing Shattered Grid. Everything is doing interdimensional crossovers.
It's got to be another Crisis.
And there's a line in Shattered Grid where the Rangers at the beginning of the Time Force Rangers say, in one of the dimensions.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. Stop making it interdimensional. It's what we're... Power Rangers is literally already all in one timeline, and it has time travel.
Can I make the argument, though, that if you're not going to straight up reboot, I know we're broken records, it is an explanation for how in the world some of those shows could possibly take place in the same...
I guess,
right?
but Power
some of
Rangers
that
Pink
just doesn't make sense.
Makes me think that they think that they're going to get to the Power Rangers Pink, and it was early on, but Power Rangers Pink makes me think that they think they are just dancing between the raindrops.
Yeah.
That they don't think that they're irrevocably altering the time.
But I don't know that Shattered Grid is going to stick with that.
We'll see.
We just don't know. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, like I said, we could get to the end of that and hardly anything has actually changed, or we could get to the end of that and it's an excuse to change everything.
Yeah. No, it would be amazing.
But then, something like Power Rangers Pink still works okay, because all you have to do is say, well, that was a story we told before that happened.
Yeah. It would be amazing if we got to the end of Shattered Grid and the Mighty Morphin team was made up of, like, Rangers from different eras. That would be really cool.
That's what I was
that would be really
cool. Early. I would love to see something like that, yeah.
But, I knee-jerk am like, I know you love the multiverse and all that.
Team of Tommies ends up happening if you do something like that, right? Like, it's just inevitable. We
and then we split the green power amongst all of them, and you have like green
Zeo red but green.
Yeah.
Zeo turbo but green, red but green.
Yeah.
Zeo turbo red
green Brachio Ranger. No. I
love that idea.
I don't dislike multidimensional, but it just feels like what we're doing with everything, and so like it feels
it's too easy. It's just an excuse to.
And I hate that people are getting excited, always get excited about it, where it's like, yep, we took all these things, we said they're all different dimensions, we put them all together. And we took all these things, we put them all together. I don't know. The other thing is...
Well, and the thing is, again, I don't want to rewrite the thing. I think Tommy's arc is interesting enough, and Draken ends up being, the catalyst for all of that.
He's dead now.
But...
his arc is done.
How... Sure. But how necessary... is it really to even set up Draken before Shattered Grid? Like, how easy would it have been to just give us the flashback stuff in Shattered Grid for Draken in the first place? And you're going to have all these people that are only going to read Shattered Grid, won't think to go back to the rest of it. And yet, I read 25 and I say, they're going to be lost here, or they're going to be lost here, and like, I don't think it's especially accessible if you haven't.
I don't either.
If you haven't,
they didn't know it was going to be a thing. Mm-hmm. They clearly didn't know. So my other complaint that's very, very fanboy.
But then they did a really unprecedented thing by spending the money to film a teaser for it, which is not necessarily for people that have been reading the book, and that has a lot to do with
Also, if you watch that teaser and then read issue 25, you'll be very confused, right?
They've had a pretty good advertising campaign.
Right, but if you watch that teaser and then read 25, you'll be very confused because Draken's just running around. In that, he's got his empire, he's sitting in his throne.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure what's going on there.
That's weird. Well, and Hyperforce also has him having his empire.
Well, we don't know what happens yet, though. I think some of that stuff's leaping ahead. I think he probably gets his empire back.
But it's weird that you sell it on that when people are going to be entering.
No, it's not, because that's who that character is at the core, and they want people to know that he's cool because he is the scary Tommy that tries to take over everything and is the intergalactic despot.
Sure.
And this is Tommy if he turned into Lord Zed. People want to know. That's what's cool about him.
Yeah.
And the idea that the Power Rangers, he's the opposite of Zordon. The Power Rangers should take their power. They should protect people by controlling them. He's all about control. And he says, we could have been gods, and that is how you sell that. I don't know where it falls, but that is how you sell that.
But I could see someone seeing that teaser being like, oh man, I gotta check that out. Although it's not well described that it's a comic book, but I could see,
it's not.
I could see seeing that teaser and be like, oh, I gotta check that out. Picking up the issue and be like,
I say it's a good advertising campaign in making people know it exists.
Not what it is.
Not what it is.
But I could see them picking up 25 and being like, oh, so like he's not that yet? Like he's just evil Tommy running around? Like that's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like that would be confusing.
Yeah, but he's gonna get there pretty quick, it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, he breaks out real fast. And
so my super fanboy complaint is,
I just wanted to mention the unaccessible thing because I think that's kind of important.
If you are gonna waste my time with how long that first Draken story told, at least make me think that you did an insane amount of work to make that dark future. I want Kyle Higgins to have sat down with the entire Power Rangers timeline and thought out, would Machine Empire still come? Would Zed still come? Would the demons from Lightspeed come? I want that. Because we do it a little bit, like the Shadow Ranger's there, and like Ninja's there, like a little bit, but like...
We go a little bit ahead. I have answers for the two you mentioned.
Okay.
Machine Empire doesn't show up if like Rita and Draken had already conquered Earth. I don't think. I don't think they show up to try to. I hadn't thought about this before. The Zed one is easy. I'll give you that in a second. But I don't know that happens. I mean, in the actual show, they only show up because it's time for another villain to be there, right? Like Zed and Rita are pretty comfy in an okay spot, and then they just show up and take over.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they had already gotten I don't know why they don't just go take over all the worlds that Rita's already taken over. I don't know what that's about. It is clear from at least Go-Go that Rita is still working for Zed. And it's obviously that there's no honor amongst thieves thing where she doesn't want to be working for Zed, but she's taking over planets for him. He's not going to show up if she takes over the planet.
But we don't know where she is, and Draken never mentions him. He will show up to speak to Draken, and be like, okay, you took over this planet, you're working for me. And Draken wouldn't be working for him. There's a whole war there.
That's actually an interesting point. I had not thought of that, although maybe he just doesn't check in that much and he hasn't gotten the memo yet.
Maybe.
That is possible. We know from something, I forget where, maybe it's 25, I forget, there is finally a mention that Rita did get taken down.
Okay.
That finally happens. It takes way too long. I don't think during the actual Draken arc, unless I missed it.
I also didn't see it.
We actually talk about what happened to Rita. It just seems like she and Draken take over, and for some reason she's no longer in the picture. But she did get taken down.
Okay.
I don't know where she is. I don't know. Like, give me a flashback where she gets put in the dumpster or something. I want to know what's going on with that.
But the way that future reads is just kind of like a generic dark future with like some Power Ranger stuff, and like I wanted to feel like they insanely worked it out, like because it's at least past Dino Thunder. Like he is older than he is in Dino Thunder, which means that we figure out where that takes place in the Power Rangers timeline, and then tell me which things did and did not happen. Because some of them don't have to happen, some of them do. I just want that. Like, look, I understand that's asking an insane amount. That's asking you to watch an insane amount of television, right, but like
sure, but you're already doing that if you're writing Shattered Grid.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to bring all that stuff, like, I wouldn't have thought of that especially because I'm still not completely sure how much of a reimagining it is while I'm reading that. Once you get to Shattered Grid, I'm thinking that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's my fanboy, like, big
Rangers,
complaint is.
We have Time Force and Ninja and other stuff, all the same issue.
Yeah.
And then they bring in, like, the cop guy from Turbo.
Blue Protector?
It's something like that, though.
I think it's blue something.
No, it is. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't remember it right off. I'm glad that didn't come up in the trivia game.
Yeah.
It's
Centurion. Blue Centurion.
Is it Blue Centurion?
I think so.
See, I almost said Centurion. It is Blue Centurion.
Yeah.
See, I did the same thing I did with the game where I was like, I don't know this. Yes, I do. Anyways,
I want to feel a little bit more love from this series as a whole. Like, I talked to you about like there's a couple of
like
things.
Being rewarded for being a fan, because there are those places where you're like, oh, that's for me. Like, I appreciate that,
Yeah. Like,
and where it doesn't just feel like fan service, where you're like, this is a cool place, but like, like I know I know Shattered Grid is bringing in everything. I was expecting some of this. I didn't expect Ninja War on page 5. That was exciting.
Yeah, but like Power Rangers.
When Gold Ranger shows up, I will lose my mind. It does not matter what the context is. I will be the most excited person in the planet.
Power Rangers has so many.
Especially if they do anything with the Triforian mythology. If they do anything,
and you're gonna flip when you get Green Gold Ranger. But
you know, when lightning strikes, it's Gold Ranger.
There's so much stuff in Power Rangers that's just open-ended and isn't explained or didn't get to pay off, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of stuff to work. Tell me about the coin. Give me the Shadow Ranger. You don't even have to get to Turbo and In Space to do the backstory for that character.
Sure.
Like, there's so much stuff you could be doing, and I feel like they got a guy who was like, yeah, I can write Power Rangers. Like, and I think maybe he has finally gotten into it, but I don't feel that from the beginning. I feel like it's a job. Which is disappointing for me. It's not bad.
It doesn't feel like it's just a job to me. It just feels like it does take maybe a little bit of a while to find this footing. And I don't even know if I would feel that way so much if the second arc wasn't so superior. Like, there's some inspired stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, the trades are 4 issues long, so Draken takes
4 trades.
4 trades.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But again, not reading month to month is not as big of a deal to me. They read fast. They read so fast. Like,
yeah, but I'd be annoyed if I paid trade
more
money and then
that's fair.
And then read the whole thing in like 20 minutes.
I mean, I paid singles money. It's just been a while.
Well, yeah, and I think that's ridiculous too. But that's my kind
one
of
of
discussion.
There's a lot of other stuff we could talk about. We didn't get into Grace at all.
We didn't get into Grace.
And like that stuff's not all done. So when we come back for more Power Rangers later, we'll probably get to talk about her more. But she's like, she's a former Red Ranger. She's fascinating.
She's really interesting.
She runs kind of a shadow government operation and has that compartmentalization thing and keeps everything from Jason trying to work with him, and she wants to preempt everything and she wants to control everything, but she does things for the right reason. And she's, I guess if I had to analyze this, I would say she's the midpoint between Jason and Draken. In philosophy and ideology, and I think Jason is going to end up being just left of center from Zordon. Eventually, like they're already starting to kind of get at odds a little bit, where he's like, well, you need to tell us more. And isn't it interesting, like I said earlier, the ways in which Zordon, with the opposite philosophy, is doing things Grace is doing. That's so interesting to me.
I really like that, in much the same way that I like that we didn't do the obvious thing of just making Zordon, like, maybe he's secretly evil, or like he's not as good as he seems, like he's almost too good. I like that she is not. Like, I feel like I've read 100 comics.
She's not Amanda Waller.
Yes, that's exactly it. I feel like I've read this character 100 times, but she's always way more duplicitous. You 100% get where she's coming from.
And Zordon created her.
Yeah.
It is his fault.
Yeah. But she's not a bad guy.
In the 70s, she goes to the moon, and and because, like we talked about earlier, because Zordon, just in case you haven't read this, because Zordon, real quick, just grabs some astronauts and put them up on the moon, or some people, I guess, that weren't astronauts, I think. Put them up on the moon.
Yeah, they're not all astronauts.
One of them wants to be. Oh, and she wants to be. She's not an astronaut either.
She
works.
Grace wants to be an astronaut.
She's a secretary.
Yeah.
And thinks that she'll never get to be an astronaut, and this is how she goes to the moon.
It is weird that they seem to know all the Power Ranger stuff less intuitively than the current Rangers.
Yeah. I wonder about that too.
A little
that
weird.
didn't seem to be speaking to Go-Go.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something they implemented more later.
Yeah, we're like, well, maybe we should make the powers teach them how to use it.
I don't know, but yeah, they go to the moon, and then Psycho Green ends up killing 3 of them. Only 2 of them make it out, and it's because Zordon didn't prepare them, and they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't. And again, their hearts weren't in the right place. All of them. That Russian guy at first has none of them have any idea what the Ranger Code is supposed to be. Zordon doesn't even take the time to explain it to them.
No.
And that guy, you think, is gonna end up. That's one of my favorite issues. It's so good. You think he's gonna end up sabotaging the whole thing for them, and then he ends up with the big self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think that works pretty well.
No, I agree.
But one thing I thought was really funny about that issue is they go to the moon, and it's during the moon landing, and it is like right around that. And they go to the moon. and there's already just all this crazy stuff on the moon. So like Psycho Green is there, and the palace is there. This is what's on the moon?
I want to talk about the art real quick just for a minute.
Sure.
So, the art for Mighty Morphin starts really strong, and the art for Go-Go remains majestic. The art starts slipping. It's never bad. Everyone seems to be able to do the Ranger stuff good.
Real quick, one of my favorite things in Go-Go is that full-page spread with where the Megazord is linking together.
Yes.
And you get all
the it's so good. It's so good.
It's really cool. And then you have that 2-page spread across the top with just the calling of the Zords.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is also really cool.
Yep, I agree. Both of them are great. And I read an interview, I think it's in the back of one of these issues, with Dan Mora, where he talks about, like, when he was a kid, he loved the Megazords and he used to draw them. He's like, I could never draw them right.
That's so
and
cool.
now I finally get to draw them. I'm much better at it.
Mora and Santaluco are fighting for me right now for favorite modern artist.
Yeah, Mora's great. Like, I read Shattered Grid, and if I was just a comic book person who jumped over to Power Rangers because, like, there's this big event, I would be like, oh, this is what this looks like. And then, like, the Ranger stuff happens, and it looks a little bit better, but, like, it's a step down from where Morphin starts and from where Go-Go is.
Are we going to drop back and forth between that and Mora? Because that's going to be jarring. I mean, if you have this beautiful, as you said, majestic-looking artwork for half of it? Because I'm assuming Mora is drawing half of it.
Well, and why did you have to bore me with these filler issues so that you could get the same artist to do all of the Draken stuff? But this is just okay art, and it's acceptable for your big event. They did not know Shattered Grid was going to be what it is. They had no idea.
They won't do that again.
No.
Next time they do something like this, it will be a mini-series.
And it'll be all Dan Mora.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If they're smart.
Yeah.
So, I know this was lengthy. It's
a lot. Look,
Eric
we read over 30 comics
Eric wanted to talk
week.
about 30 comic books this week on the Comic Vault. So
in different timelines, in different periods in time.
Hey, I think we did okay. I think we got quite a bit covered. I am very excited about this whole continuity, though. I'm
excited to see Shattered Grid and then what happens next.
What happens after it? Because I mean, it could deflate it. I could get less excited about it. But right now, a lot of it is just Go-Go is one of the best comics I'm reading.
Go-Go's really good.
And I feel like I might think that even if I wasn't a Power Rangers fan.
And with how good Go-Go is, I would be okay if we didn't do miniseries and Go-Go just jumped around series.
So would I.
Give me that team on Time Force. Give me that team on...
That would give you what you want, but it's not 4 times a month. I can live with that. That's fine. Absolutely. Give me 3 stories a year. Absolutely. Sure.
Yep.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us for the Comic Vault today, unless you had anything else you wanted to make sure and get thrown in there.
I think I'm good.
Well,
that cover's dope, though. I really like that one. Yeah. That's maybe my favorite cover of the whole
to be fair, the Go-Go covers don't have the issue that you're...
The Go-Go covers are all a lot better.
I mean,
I love that cover. That cover's great.
Like, there they are.
That's the kind of stuff that should be on this.
To the moon, and there they are looking at each other, all not sure about themselves with Go-Go. Oh! Something I didn't talk about with Go-Go that I've got to mention.
Oh, and Go-Go's Bulk and Skull are way better than Mighty Morphin's Bulk and Skull.
Well, that's the thing.
Sorry.
Not just better. Bulk has... an arc.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Which might be a little too early for that character, in all honesty.
I love it. Maybe, but I don't care. Because
that character's going to get a lot of ice cream poured on his face.
Well, that's true, but what's cool is they're a reinvention of those characters. They are not that dumb.
No.
And they feign that a little bit, and I like the idea that Skull and Billy were childhood best friends, and all of that's great.
Yep.
The Skull and Bones thing is cool, and but
this is Billy Bones.
But Bulk has to kind of make a sacrifice to look like the bumbling idiot he usually looks like in order to try to save this girl at the homecoming dance from having a Carrie situation, and it's really sad. And in that moment, he kind of does the Power Ranger thing, and I love that.
I also like that they go to punk girls. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
It's the Bulk and Skull stuff is great. It's fine in Mighty Morphin, although the characters in Mighty Morphin, especially those first couple issues, feel far less mature than the characters in Go-Go.
No, it's true. They're not really talking to each other, but just within the context, just within Go-Go.
Yeah, I agree.
Was very impressed with that. Anyway, folks, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. And if you're watching this just as its own video, sure nice of you to click on this, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks for another one.